I made some noise about Marcellus Wiley. I only addressed it because it was asked to me by Charlamagne the God. DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God were interviewing me, and they saw some stuff about Marcellus Wiley coming at me, and he said something along those lines about me being scared of the intelligence. I won't even say the man's name anymore, my former colleague, because every time I mention his name, folks lie. They create headlines, they change shit, and they make stuff up. And I'm tired of going through all of that. I've stated my position. I'm not a liar. Look at my book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes. It's all in there. It's all there. Just go look. But I wanted to reiterate what I said about Marcellus Wiley, because ain't nobody scared. I say what I want to say. What I do want to say is this. A couple of things. The individual who he felt the need to come to the protection of, that's his best friend. So guess what, Marcellus Wiley? I wish I had a friend like you. Actually, I'm lying, because I already have friends like you. I've got a bunch of friends that will come to my aid, just like you came to the aid of our former colleague, who, by the way, has informed me he'll always be a colleague because he'll be back in the business doing this thing. But that's neither be here nor there. My only disappointment in Marcellus Wiley was what he said. To be in the year 2023 and to accuse a black man of being scared of the intelligence of another black man is just one of the saddest things you could possibly do. I'm not mad. I'm not hurt. It was disappointing to hear. But for all of y'all looking for some kind of shade or whatever, we ain't gonna be a hypocrite. I've always had love for Marcellus Wiley. There was never, ever, ever a single day when that brother was not kind to me, that he was not respectful to me, that he was not decent to me. And just because I disagree with what he said doesn't mean that I'm going to clap back at him and offend him. I got mad love for all of my colleagues. Marcellus Wiley was one of those people. I'm sorry he's gone from ESPN. I'm sorry he's gone from FS1. I hope whatever it is that he's doing, and I'm assuming it's something more than just his podcast because the brother's bright as hell. I wish him nothing but the best. If I saw him, the only thing that I would say to him is, bro, really? That's what we doing now? A black man is scared of the intelligence of a white dude? Really? In the year 2023, we gonna say something like that? Because I can assure you, I ain't scared of nobody. Not when it comes to intellect. You know why I'm not scared? Because either I'm just as smart, if not smarter, or I learn from their intelligence and it makes me more intelligent. So I'm always winning. I'm always winning.
Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that was his approach. Stephen A. Smith, that was his approach when he felt, and by the way, I'm going to hit the like button up. Now, that was his approach, how he loved him. He switched up, but I want you to pay attention one more time. I'm going to let you look at it and get focused. What do you see? I see the cheap generic background on the green screen. I see the little green screen in the back cheaply done, cheap mic, quality not that great, right? Now, the same thing is basically reiterated when Max Kellerman makes his announcement that he's coming back. Marcellus Wiley basically reiterated what he was saying. And first things first, let's just take it from the top. Max Kellerman and Marcellus Wiley are not best friends. They're just not. It's not like they have a problem with each other, but they're not best friends. They were work colleagues and they were cool, but they weren't like we hang out all the time, come over and see the kids. They were not best friends. But I get it. They worked together a lot. So, and they did radio together. So I guess he could feel like he was more of a Max guy than your guy type of feel. But let's fast forward now to this. Now, what do you see? You see he got the boat behind him. He got the Stephen A. Straight Shooter Media. He got a logo now. Far cry from this. He went from that to this. New mic, better camera, got a production company now. And let's hear what he has to say now about what.
Somebody said it wasn't during the timeout. Well, when the timeout finished, I was still playing it in the middle of the third quarter. And did you see me do 2 hours of pregame? ESPN and then ABC? You see me do halftime? Did you see me do postgame? Did you see me do first take every single morning? You're just making it up. Making it up. Max Kellerman. I'm upset about Max Kellerman. I have nothing against Max Kellerman. I didn't want to work with him on first take anymore. That's all. I didn't think we were good partners for a debate show. If we were doing boxing, if we were doing Sports Center or something like that, nothing. No problem. For a 2-hour daily debate show, I didn't think we worked any longer. That's all. Never wanted him fired. Never wanted him unemployed. Happy he's back. Because I don't wish for brothers not to get a check and not to be employed. And that brother is brilliant. And he deserves a check. And oh, by the way, you ain't going to find anybody that knows more boxing than him. I'm happy for him. Even though his boy will lie his ass off and say otherwise because he going to get more clicks. Y'all know who the hell it is. It's unbelievable. The shit that people make up just to create clicks, because that's all you can do to get a check now. I'm not talking about Max. I'm talking about his peeps. Y'all know who they are with their podcast. You got to be kidding me. But it's all right. It's okay. Because you see, when you make stuff up and you're talking about me, you still have me in the headlines.
So then why you sound so bent out of shape? You see, here's the problem. Now, how did you go from I still got love for that man? You went from this, I still got love for that man, who was saying the same things he said then as he's saying right now. One guy was broke. The other one, now he got money. The money amplifies the personality. So he flexing behind the bag. Now, what is the next scenario in this situation? Well, let me address it. Marcellus Wiley doesn't hate him. He knows now no, the Pelicans are that job was given to him by the NBA. He didn't want it. Trust me. But that's just a ship that just won't fly. He's mad. Stephen A is mad because he sees the situation for what it is. Marcellus Wiley does not have a hating bone in his body, but he is turning the screw. He knows it bothers you, so he'll keep digging at you. Just in the past couple of weeks, he's just really been just anything with Stephen A. Smith, he's gonna turn it up. You see, let's go back to Sports Nation, Stephen A. You make it seem as if everybody loves you. They don't. Michelle Beadle didn't like you. Okay, there's a lot of producers that didn't like you. Jamie Horowitz never had a real problem with you because back then you were when they met you, you were very like glad to be here. You wasn't in good graces with ESPN and the bosses. Norby Williamson didn't want you at all to come back. You basically had to hunch over and walk by him with squeaky shoes. Make sure you take your slippers off when you walk by Norby's office. So the thing about it is Kev, Libby, Jamie, those producers are some of the best in the world at what they do. Absolutely the best at what they do. And the fact that there's a lot of them that don't like Stephen A. Smith, and there's a lot of people you rubbed the wrong way once you became the co-host and became the man in 2016. The 2016 Stephen A. was okay. He's got his position. He's safe now. Once you got that contract saying you pretty much was safe, your attitude changed. Do you remember saying you didn't want to work with Marcellus Wiley? I want you to see if you remember that, Stephen. You didn't want to work with Marcellus Wiley when y'all had a four-man debate. They were going to have it where Marcellus Wiley could come in to the studio early so that he could be on via screen, because there was some incident that happened with somebody who was a former teammate of his, and they wanted his take on it on the Big Show, because they was on ESPN too. Y'all was on the Big Show. So y'all were the big guys. Now, y'all were going over to the main show, the ESPN's main platform, ESPN 1 or whatever. So they're on ESPN 2. Y'all used to be on 2. Now y'all going to 1. As everything's starting to turn upside down and you're going to the Big Show, they were going to have a split screen, like on location, and bring Marcellus Wiley in to talk about it on the show. And they were doing the split screen, and you was pretty much not with it, that he couldn't come to the studio. You remember that? I used to take a red-eye flight. I used to get on red-eye. I would finish commentating. I wouldn't even stay for the rest of the game. I'd be like, we got everything from me. All right, I'm out. Check out. Boom, I'm out. I'm on the plane. I'm asleep at the airport. I got sleep apnea. I'm waking everybody up. I don't care. I got to get my sleep. So I'm sleeping, waiting on the plane to land. Then I got to fly back. I got to drink a big cup of coffee. This big. I got to go pee, but I got to do my job. Here I am, announcing the game. So that's the avenue he took. That was the direction he went in. So when that situation was going by, he just felt like, why are we doing this with somebody that don't want to come in? So I don't know how that segment ended up going. That's the information I had gotten back about an incident that happened when they wanted to bring Marcellus Wiley in on the show. So I don't know what happened with the producers. I'm quite sure Marcellus Wiley would know what that situation is. And definitely go watch his channel, Marcellus Wiley, the dude. I don't think he has a personal grudge. He just knows that he doesn't really like him, because he makes himself very unlikable. He thinks too much of himself. So he's like, okay, you think too much of yourself? Well, anything come out, I'm just going to tell him the truth and just keep turning the key. Keep turning the key. Now, I've seen Stephen A. Smith go into these lulls before, where he goes into these deep characters of, this is what I think, this is how I want to move. And I think I need to move this way because of all these situations I've been going through. Now he feels I'm the gatekeeper. You remember Jonathan Coachman? He used to be the coach up at WWE, and he went to work for ESPN. And then he would come on First Take sometimes. Stephen A. Smith didn't like him either. And he stated it. See, I can say his name because he stated it. So he wanted to fill in for you. He was like, oh, man, he's been doing good on there. And Stephen A.'s going on vacation. And they needed somebody to fill in. And Coach was right there like, man, while you're on vacation, man, I'm thinking about filling in. So he says, man, like thinking of him, he's like, you think you could fill in? You think it'll be you? Like he laughed at Coach, and Coach never forgotten that. He's still pissed off about it, probably to this day. Stephen A. Smith laughed when he thought of himself as a person that could fill in for a week, when he's actually been on the show and was great. The numbers were great when Coach was on the show. You see, this is why he didn't want Marcellus Wiley coming on the show as a guest and anything. He don't want anyone that could steal the spotlight from him. If you steal the spotlight from him, it makes his light dim. He can't compete. He couldn't compete with Marcellus Wiley's natural energy. He can't get to be the Stephen A. Smith that everyone know and love and all of these different things if he's always got to darken his light, or he's got to be docile. He can't really be himself. Now, naturally, he always have this feeling when the other person just so happens to be black. Just so happens, what a coincidence. Max Kellerman gets the job because one, he was more popular. Yeah, they seen him on Around the Horn, Sports Nation. So when Max got the job, Stephen A didn't even want him. So he didn't really want Max to have this job, but he signed off on it because they had nobody else that they could fill in that place. So when they got Max, he looked for every reason to get Max fired immediately once he saw the success of Shannon Sharpe. And once they started doing once they did the thing, it went to the stratosphere. And then Stephen A really went to complaining because he was like, we got to change the show. But meanwhile, he keeps telling the whole world, we're number one. We good. But the show behind the scenes, as I was telling you, was struggling. Now, I don't disagree with him saying me and Max don't work well together. But Marcellus Wiley said the exact same thing. Y'all didn't work well together because you didn't want to work with him. You didn't try to work with Max. See, it's a two-way street when you have a partner. You got to try to help your partner be great too in his spots and moments because that's better for the show. But you wouldn't let Max have a moment. Anytime Max try to have a moment, you try to smother that with your own BS. And to show you how petty the man is, the man decided to go ahead and try to back Emmanuel Ocho, who they really don't get along with whatsoever. If Stephen A and Emmanuel Ocho meet, oh, that's gonna be a toxic explosion there. Because you're gonna meet a guy that's like you, but way more quieter and slimier. So he moved like a producer. He don't move like a on-screen talent. Now, oh yeah, one of the directors definitely at first take was like, I can't work with Stephen A because this guy loves to try to tell us how to do our jobs. So the camera crew, the people that actually record your show, a lot of them can't stand you. So they try to find ways to sabotage you. So when they start filming what you got on your screen and showing that on television, they're trying to sabotage your show because they can't stand you. Mm-hmm. Well, when John Skipper was there, and this is how you know he's just talking out of frustration, Stephen A. Smith. Marcellus Wiley could get a job immediately if he wanted to on television. If he was like, I need a job, he still got relationships with there. He didn't burn any bridges with people. They gave him a proper send-off on ESPN. Sports Nation just couldn't match the money that he was going to get going over to Fox Sports 1. It's just that he didn't like the people that Marcellus Wiley worked with. As you said, the man was always nice and respectful to you, never done anything every time you saw him. Like you said earlier, before you got that big bag, you wish he was still at ESPN. But because he worked with Michelle Beadle, Max Kellerman, and now you got Jason Whitlock. You up out the door, baby boy. No, Max is not built for that kind of debate show. Max is a facts guy, okay? Most fans are not factual. They have a passionate appeal about what they are, especially when it comes to things like football. Max is passionate about boxing. So if it's a certain fighter, Max will defend him to the grave. He's going to have the facts to back it up. But what is Max's favorite basketball team? What is Max's favorite football team? You don't know, because he doesn't definitively wear that on their chest. And when you don't have that, you don't battle the same. You just make your points and be like, oh, well, yeah, you got a point. And he was like, oh, man, this is a weak debate. He didn't have any passion for it. So believe me, my videos was getting hundreds of thousands of views back then when the show was out. And he took my video as reference and shared it with ESPN's crew. And I told him, I'm not mad that he didn't want to work with Max Kellerman. It wasn't working. But as Marcellus Wiley said, it's not working because he's not trying to work with Max. He wants Max gone so bad. He's not even trying to let Max win, have a moment. He's basically sabotaging his own show to say, look, it's not working. See? Max was trying. He tried to be more passionate. He tried to argue. But when someone doesn't want to work with you professionally, you can see it. And the reason why he really didn't like it is because Max is coming off as the guy who was being more genuine. Why Stephen A was coming out being more corporate. And for Black America, you know, Stephen loved to have that Black appeal, you know, like the Black people look up to Steve. Now they were looking at him like, and then you got T.O. on the show, who he brought on the show, by the way. Stephen A said that, man, but Max ain't more blacker than you on this subject. And that was what people were saying everywhere. Now it's been said in front of millions of people at home on ESPN Live. Stephen A got so mad he had to try to check it and cut it down. T.O. was making great television, but hell, it was true. And he said what a lot of people at home was thinking. They was, yup, that was the same thing I was saying. Mm-hmm. The two-man debate format isn't dead. It just hasn't been done the same way. Now, mm-hmm. No, because when you're reactionary, that's when things start to go off course. That's when you start to see things spiral. And once it spirals, it starts going in a direction like either which way it wants to go. And people can't say anything about it. Mm-hmm. Well, if you go through the segments and you go through what he does, he made it seem as if the man couldn't get a job anywhere anymore. At ESPN, now that you're there, you're going to stand in the way of that man getting a job. You're basically stating that now. Now you got the power. Oh yeah, you wouldn't let Marcellus Wiley come in. No. Course, but there's plenty of people but they want him to go to New York. Fox wanted him to go to New York and work on the show that they have in New York. But he's in California. He doesn't want to leave California. And now they don't even have to leave California to fly to New York. They could do the whole thing by remote. Calvin Carter does everything from Chicago. No, he moved to Chicago. He left New York, moved to Chicago, and that's where he's doing the show from now. He built a studio in his house, and that's what he does. Now, look, there are so many different people that appear to be your friend. They appear to be, your bestie. They appear to be everything to you. Then they turn on you. Just like that. Now, these guys were never friends. They were colleagues, and they spoke, and they kept it respectable. But Stephen A wants to have a grudge, but he can't break Marcellus Wiley because he doesn't know how. He thinks he's hurting Marcellus Wiley by saying things like, you can't get another job. You can't even get one. And your boy, you're sticking up for your boy. He's not sticking up for his boy, Max. He's actually just being honest. And you're touched. He knows it pokes him. If he knows it pokes you, you're disturbed by what he's saying, he's going to keep saying it. And now that Molly Qerim has left, Stephen A's back upset because Marcellus Wiley is telling people what was going on. And I told you guys what happened. So if anybody was wondering, like, did I say anything? Yes, I told y'all what happened. They got that Shay Cornett replacing her, which I told you they was going to do. They basically auditioning to see how it goes, would the numbers go up or down. Yeah, that's what people want to know. Will the numbers go up and down? So let's see how the numbers go this week with Shay. It's a common critical mistake that people make all the time. Stephen A. Smith wants people to buckle under him and respect him as the gatekeeper. Like, I'm the one that gets you your deals and your contracts. But can I be honest with y'all? I would like to be honest with y'all right quick. Been privy to or receiving. So let's be honest with you, the general public. Y'all want to know what the problem is right now? Molly Qerim didn't get her contract mainly because Stephen A. Smith did not sign off on her getting a contract and getting that money. If Stephen A. wanted Molly to be on that show, she would be on the show. They knew back in January, Molly Qerim was either going to take this low budget money or walk at the end of the year. And they were fine with Molly walking at the end of the year. What they didn't expect was her to abruptly walk off the show completely after last week. Last week, Monday, was her last day. She walked off the show and didn't come back because ESPN decided to leak that she was leaving the show. And she felt even more betrayed that they chose to do that. I know what they say. How do you know all this stuff? You don't know anything. Y'all say I don't know anything, but everything I say end up coming out. Molly contract was up. She made $500,000 to $600,000 a year, plus bonuses and incentives. So she took home $600,000. Who knows? Probably a little more with her, whatever bonuses and incentives that they had for her. So that was her original contract. So naturally, she wants something that's touching probably $1 million a year. No, this is back then. She signed a lowball deal. She'd have been on ESPN. But back in January, that's what I said, back in January. Back in January, this was the decision. This was the problem that they had in place. Because back in January, Molly Qerim was in the negotiations like everybody else was. Now in September, this is where everyone gets their contract renewed. And they did Malika Andrews, and she's got a huge increase. Everybody got a bigger increase than Molly Qerim. But Molly is bare minimum. That's what, Stephen A. just likes her for eye candy pretty much. And yeah, she got paid being a co-host. She's just not a moderator. She went from a moderator to now a co-host of the show. So she gets paid as a co-host to be on the program. So naturally, she wanted more money that would, generate her doing more things. She actually suggested that she do more, like appear on other shows, a football program, and assist. She was okay and willing to do said things. But what people don't understand is that Molly, because of her condition, medical situation all the time and doing all of this different things that they would probably, that's taxing and more draining on her body. So ESPN has been tightening the wagons because they're getting ready to go into a new form of entertainment soon, where all these shows are going to be gone. All of it's going to dry up. And all these shows, the program shows that they got, that's going to change. The networks are not going to be paying for shows anymore. Fox is already going through that cycle now. They're just going to pick up podcast shows and start putting podcast shows on networks. That's why you see Emmanuel Ocho with his show that he got now, that Speak whatever thing he got, Speak Easy. All he did was take over the Fox Undisputed YouTube channel and then renamed it and want to build it up so that he could put it on Fox, where Fox don't have to worry about the studio. They don't have to worry about any of the production staff. And here they are, can have a podcast show for much cheaper than what it costs to put their show on as a network. Everything is changing now. And see, they keep saying, I don't know anything, but yet everything I say keeps coming true and everybody regurgitates it later. And they go, wow, you know what? That guy is actually making a lot of sense. How the hell does he know all this stuff? Well, when you know people, that's what happens. Oh, okay, I just been invited to something. Okay, they invited me to a New Faces in Broadway. Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of producers that used to work for ESPN. Now they work for like Apple, they work for HBO, they work for Universal, they work for a lot of different places now that used to work at ESPN. When we was covering boxing, we were running all of these people. And they're here in Chicago. One works at CNBC. He used to work at ESPN. He couldn't stand Stephen A. Smith. Says he's so arrogant. And, we would have to film his walk-ins. Like he was, no, wait, I got to walk in. Y'all got to get my whole swag. Make sure you get my shoes. They was like, I can't deal with his personality. And they was like, Skip Bayless was best to work with back when he was at ESPN. They was like, we had no problems working with Skip. But Stephen A. became more of a diva as, time went on. So they were just like, wow, I had no problems with Skip. He really didn't like to be bothered, which was perfect for us. We could just do our jobs. But Stephen A., no. Well, one of the directors that worked on First Take didn't like Stephen A. Smith's interference. See, Stephen A. Smith would like to interfere a lot. And a lot of the directorial process. Like, they were like, well, dude, he wants to be the director because he's in the way. He's telling us who to put the camera on. And, like, we know how to do our jobs. Like, they're like, I wouldn't come to your job and tell you what you should be doing or how you should be doing it. That just doesn't make any sense. It's up to people. That's people's fault. Y'all fall into that trap. Of believing these clowns. Yeah, they'll make it, they'll lower my views. They'll let some other clown come in here and say something. Like, for instance, you got all of these people talking about the Bears sucked all before the game with the Cowboys. I sat here and told you and gave you a breakdown on why they were going to beat the Cowboys. I sat here and gave you a perfect breakdown on how it was going to go that way. Not out of fandom, because I actually watched the games. So I could tell you where the problems were and where the flaws were. I don't want to told you the Browns is going to beat Green Bay. Take the Browns and the points. I'm the one that told you to take the Jets and the points if I was betting. So if I've given you all of these big winners, even though it came down to the last minutes of the game, I saw something. And especially when I give you breakdown, they're just going off emotion and just trying to sell you shows. Like that Gridiron show that's completely horrible with Skip Bayless. Because you're caught in a dilemma where nothing changes. The content doesn't change. Marcellus Wiley tells you what he does and what he likes, how it is. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm like, how did we get here? All right, there we go. Wiley tells it to you how it is. Oh, and he gets a chance to stick the knife into Stephen A. Smith. Oh, Marcellus Wiley has no problem delivering that knife. Oh, he just turns it because it's not personal to him. It's not personal. Stephen A. keeps saying it's not. He's like, oh, he says it's not personal, but it's personal.
You're at the helm. This is your show.
That's right.
In steps, Max Kellerman.
Yes, I needed a partner. They were looking for somebody to replace Skip for 5 days a week, and I knew that his personality was different than that of Skip Bayless, but obviously he's a brilliant brother.
It was working until it wasn't. And you said pretty early on, you started noticing, I got my approach. I'm straight to the point. I'm unapologetic about it. Max has a slightly different approach, but you felt like it wasn't going to work long before then.
I felt like about 2 years in, I didn't think it was going to work long term. I didn't have regrets about bringing him on board. You know that as time was evolving and you saw the other shows and you saw the talent, people clamoring for a point of view mattered. They're looking for conflict and confrontation.
It's a debate show.
That's right. It's a debate show. And it got to a point where that's not what folks were getting. And so you see people opening their mouths and talking about, you know, it was Stephen A. wanted this or whatever. It's not about what I want. It's about what the audience wants. So what it was saying was, we together didn't work. Now, maybe it was a byproduct of what we had trained the audience to be accustomed to with me and Skip.
I'll put my salary on.
I swear I wish this some water about throw this in. How could what?
Just donate it to charity. You know why?
$5 million? And the fact that that wasn't there, okay, is something they lamented. My point is, that's what they lamented.
It's not personal.
It's not personal.
Never been
It's not personal. They didn't say me, him, or whatever. They said us. So what I was saying was, okay, they said that in year 2, and 3, and 4. And now here we are in year 5. What y'all gonna do about it? I was willing to come off first take and do other things. And obviously they didn't want that. And so they made the decision that they made. I had to make it work or else. I was like Stephen A. against the world. I felt
Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Woo! All right, y'all. Let's get into this right here. Become a gym member with Project Transition. As a giver every month, small gifts have a big impact in creating real change. Not only will you transform lives, you'll also win and unlock. Sensitive to Max because Max doesn't talk about it. So obviously it's something to Max that he wants to protect and keep to himself because he doesn't even speak on it at all. And let me be real, sensitive to me because I don't want to insert myself in a place where Stephen A. thinks I hate him and also in a place where I'm speaking for Max. But at the same time, Y'all know me. I love all these cats, but what I love more is the real. What I love more is the truth. So we going to not run down and make one point. We're going to walk down and make them all. Okay, so a couple.
Now, as you can see, he does not hate this man. So what he's saying did not come from a place of hate. Hey, that's what's paying the bills. I can't get mad at how a man paying his bills. If he ain't out there doing damage to people. Now, when people see that there's a natural gravitation to like what the achievement or whatever the goal is, you start to see people clamor and they start to make a difference in how they want to move going forward. You start to feel that. You start to see like, okay, these people are moving in a whole different way. I need to adjust the way I'm thinking, or something needs to happen here that's different. So what Marcellus Wiley did was say, hey, I'm that dude. You know, like, I'm really just telling the truth. I'm not here to have a personal opinion to it, but I'm going to just tell it to you the way it is. And when you look at it from those eyes and that perspective, you can't help but gravitate to it, because now you know. I never understood why certain people do things in the fashion that they do it. I never understood that. But Stephen A. loves to change the narratives when he sit down, because he's not truthful. And when you're not truthful, you're going to end up saying different things. What you said yesterday, you forgot about. Now you're saying it this way today. Our problem, and which is my problem, is that I'm not mad about you saying you don't want to work with Max Kellerman no more. It ain't working out. I said it wasn't working out from the beginning. When it first started, I said it's not working out. I gave the perfect breakdown. You used my video to show the ESPN bosses, and you showed the views. Said, look, this is hundreds of thousands of views. Read the comment section. And it was my video. And this is back in 2016, when Undisputed first came out, and you was feeling the pressure. Now, only problem we got is that you keep bringing it up. You wrote it in your book. You went on a tour, keep telling everybody how you didn't want to work with Max. Why do you have to keep bringing it up and dragging a man who doesn't even speak on it? He doesn't even speak on you. But yet you constantly got this man's name in your mouth and keep telling everybody who would listen. You've been on like 20 to 30 platforms informing the world how you don't want to work with this man. Love for him, then shut up. He's never even talking about it. He's never spoke on it. He didn't even speak for years. He had disappeared. You didn't even see him anywhere. He just took his money and was gone. But you keep bringing it up every 10 minutes. That's the problem I have. That's the problem Marcellus Wiley got. Like, why do you have to keep telling the world that you didn't want to work with this man? Don't you think by now they know you didn't want to work with Max Kellerman no more?
things that really jumped out to me, and I think we all heard them, is that in year 2, Stephen A. Smith started to feel something, started to see something, right? His spidey senses were going off. This ain't it, year 2. Okay. And he said that that was largely because of the audience and what the audience wanted. So we know as an audience, how we speak is through our viewership, right? Through our support, right? We leave comments everywhere, all that. And that's kind of subordinate to the real of, are you watching it, right? So we go with viewership. We're going to have some fun walking down and taking a look at this. But let's all sum it up for those who don't know all the particular details. Let's just give you a grand scope. I like Stephen A's point. He's like, look, we ain't working, right? And everyone knows in sports media, you can come at it through an educational perspective or entertainment perspective. And really that balancing act, edutainment, is what we're all looking for. Shout out to BDP. Also,
and yeah, he gave a shout out to the Boogie Down Productions. That's what's up. Education. But look at the perspectives, right? Look at what they put as a dynamic. Look what they put in front of you as the standard and say, hey, check this out. This is what we want you to see. This is what we want you to know. Right? Same thing I just said, right? No one cared that he came to the realization that this isn't working. None of us are caring. That's not our point. If you say it isn't working, you work with the man, that's fine by us. You work with him. So if you say it isn't working, guess what? Might not be working. So for us to have that opinion, you know, that could go left. That could go either here or there. That's not the issue. What is the main issue, ladies and gentlemen? The main issue is what I just told you. You keep reiterating it. Why?
so you can be theatrical, right? You're like just real boisterous, right? Loud with all your conversations, your emotions, your actions. Or you could be more of a teacher, right? Try to talk and let people listen, and then all of a sudden they respond by learning more. But in this situation between Max and Stephen A. Smith, there were really two different ways to look at it. There was a battle of who was smarter. Like that conversation was loud when watching First Take through 2016 and 2021 when Max was there. Like there was a conversation of like, man, Max is a genius, or man, Stephen A. Smith is smart, but not as smart as Max, right? We know that. And another conversation, which I still don't like and I don't support, but oh man, Max is blacker. And we all know when T.O. went on the show. Okay. No matter what Stephen A. Smith does, if he's black, it's black, right? That's how I look at things, but I digress. So there was a smarter and blacker conversation that was really underlying all of the theatrics, all of the teachings, all of the education, all of the entertainment that was going on, right? Now let's get to it. Because in our industry, there's something called KISS, as you heard, right? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Or keep it simple, smarty. Point being, they want you to keep it simple because they want to dumb it down for the audience to easily digest. They don't say the audience is dumb. They just say, hey, let's make this simple so you guys can digest it. Take a look at this, okay? Because we're talking about what Stephen A. Smith said about year 2. And let's see if it matches what Stephen A. Smith said versus what Steve really experienced. Peep game. These are the year-by-year ratings. This is how the audience speaks. This is how you guys talk, okay? Let's go before Max. So let's go all the way back. They don't even publish it back then. It was 8.
See, now this is what really irked. This is what really irked Stephen A. Smith is when he did this. Because, see, now this isn't about opinion no more. Now this is about fact. So your excuse is not going to work. Your lie isn't going to work because now you have in front of you the actual, and I mean actual, facts, the paperwork. You can't get around that paperwork. So this is what set him off. This is what made him change his whole opinion that he don't even mention Marcellus Wiley no more. He's that guy with his podcast. This is why he's upset. This was the kryptonite. This is when he calls BS. To your whole argument, boy. Now that has hit the surface, now it's all hitting the fan. Look.
In radio. Nah, they don't have these ratings. I look, but whatever. Let's go right before Max gets there. Max gets there at 2016. So 2013, the range is 250 to 350,000. Okay, let's keep it there. That's Skip Bayless at the end. And then they said the real number when Max first got there was 330,000. So a little less than 350. 330, remember that. Okay. They sum it up as the moderate, steady audience. Online sources suggest gradual rise, right? Then Max comes, it goes 330 to 350. Max in year one takes it 350. They on ESPN, audience growth follows. Here's year two, where Stephen A. Smith says this is when people start telling them this ain't it. They jump 50,000 to their highest published rating right here. Published rating, okay? So definitely the highest with Max and higher than it was with Skip, because Skip was there 2013 to 2016. Okay. So like I said, I don't like to call a man a liar, but tell the truth, brother. Now,
like he said, I hate to call a man a liar, but tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the general public why you doing this. Tell them the truth. It had nothing to do with the ratings. The ratings was higher than they were when Skip was there. The numbers were up. What was the truth? That's what you need to ask yourself. What was the actual truth? A code, an honor, a way they try to handle things. That's the way real men move. They don't have time for this nonsense. See, when you make it about color instead of right and wrong, this is why the scenarios and situations end up the way they do. This isn't about that. As you can clearly see, this is about one person who who change because of financial status, because of a little bit of power that they give him the illusion of power, only to be a governor of other people of color. Now, if Max Kellerman, not Max Kellerman, let's go to Molly. If Stephen A. wanted Molly to be there, Molly would have got paid. He didn't want Molly to return, and everybody knew it. At the end of the year, next season, she wasn't going to return. We knew that in January. Remember, the girl that he was messing with told everybody Molly was out? She wasn't lying, was she? She was breaking down Molly's money. Molly's mad about money. And she was. She's mad at Stephen A. for getting the money and everybody else. But here's what you guys probably didn't know or didn't understand. Stephen A., he helped everybody else get their money. Kendrick Perkins, he got Kendrick Perkins a contract in, about 4 hours? In 4 hours, Kendrick Perkins got a 3-year deal. He ran out of days. So he couldn't he's like, man, I'm out of days in my contract, so I'm done right now. And he was like, man, Stephen A's like, I wanted you on First Take next week. He was like, man, I'm out of days. He was like, hold on, I'm gonna call you back. He called the ESPN. He had 1 year left on his contract, on that deal, on his original deal. They tore that contract up and gave him a 3-year contract. Renewed it there on the spot so he can go and do First Take. Tore the contract there up on the spot. Gave him a new deal. So if you can do that for Kendrick Perkins, who's not even on First Take at ESPN, you couldn't do that for Molly Qerim, who been there with you for all these years, who was your co-host. You didn't stick up for her. You didn't want her to come back. We get it. We understand it. You didn't want her back. And that's what it really was about. So the lowball offer they gave her was to get rid of her and get her off the show. Because, see, what you want is a carousel. You want different hosts. You want different people there. And you didn't like the way Molly would come in and try to do her own thing and undermine you. You want somebody who's subservient to you and know that it's the Stephen A. Smith show, First Take. That's what he wanted.
This is after year 2. When all of a sudden your spidey senses are going off and you're like, what the hell? This ain't it. This ain't us. Ratings boost. And you are now the face, the primary face, Stephen A. Smith. Let's go to year 3, 2019. They're growing again, consistent growth, 420, highest ever. Let's go to 2020. It's at their highest place still, but it didn't go up. Rating steady despite pandemic. So we all at home. We know what happened at the pandemic. We love you, ESPN, but boy, we love YouTube more. YouTube was like, what? All them creators and et cetera, right? So you now battling with everybody at home, but everybody watching something and not always watching just sports, because the sports was affected. Because you remember there wasn't any audience and no fans in the stand. That made it look weird. I even went to a game when the fans weren't in the stands. Like it was like 20 of us at a Charger game. Yuck. It felt crazy. So watching it on TV too felt weird as well. And definitely watching a show talking about a game with no fans felt a little off. But still, at their peak numbers from when Max was there and even before when Skip was there. Now, 2021, we're still at that peak. Flat trends. So it's been 3 years of peak, but flat. Peak, flat. I hear you, Stephen A., but that's when Max is gone. You mean this guy took it from 330 to 420 with you, which is 90,000 people, which is almost a quarter of this, like 25% increase in growth and higher than it was with Skip when he left, but it's a problem. Now let's give Stephen A. some credit. When Max left, it went down and then it went up slightly. Slight increase, social audience building, right? We're really locked in now. Then it boom, 496. That's the all-time high, right? And 17 straight months of year-over-year growth. Okay, so now they're rolling. So this justifies what Stephen A. Smith was saying. Something ain't right. It could be bigger. Instead of saying it's big, he's like, nah, I know it's big. I know it's growing. It could be bigger. Okay, peep game. So I'm giving him all his credit. Trust me. Then the next year, we went from 496 to 400 to 500. We're in that world, but here we go. Remain strong in one of the top shows, but maybe a little flat or just a slight dip, but we're right there. Then watch. This year, 401. What just happened? 401, that's less than when Max was there, when Max had to go. This is the Max year, 420. You're at 401 right now. Okay, I get it. Football season is coming and all that. Yeah. That's factored into all of these numbers every single year. So the point of it is, wow, it doesn't line up for when Stephen A. Smith said in year 2 that Max Kellerman was an issue, or he was an issue, or they together was an issue. It doesn't add up. The show literally went from 330 to 420. So there's another reason why. There got to be another reason why. Because it's not the numbers. It's not what Stephen A. Smith just said to Andre Ward, looking him straight in his eye and telling him a lie. It wasn't the numbers. It was what he was hearing. And if you listen one more time, you can hear it. What he said was people were talking. Comments. What do comments do? They touch your emotions. They touch your insecurities. They touch you where it hurts the most, right? That's why you can scroll through your comments. You get 100 great comments. Oh, I love what you said. Great stuff, big dog. And then one of them said, man, I don't know what the hell you talking about. You rambling on. You ain't saying shit. Oh.
Now, he's right. That was the reason why. Stephen A. Smith is emotional. He's an emotional teddy bear. What Kwame Brown said hurt his feelings. What I said hurt his feelings. What Marcellus Wiley said hurt his feelings. What T.O. said on TV hurt his feelings. It had nothing to do with the numbers. He couldn't look like the super smart guy who got the last word and was besting the guy who was next to him. Max was making him look stupid and wasn't giving him any easy wins anymore. He was like, I was trying to give you layups, let you win one, I win one, we have a good show. But no, you don't want to have a good one. He wanted to control the narrative. So shouts out to Marcellus Wiley, that dude. Don't forget to subscribe to him. If you like the Stephen A. Smith show, you can go subscribe to that. Too Raw for TV. Support him. Kwame Brown Bus Life. Support his show. 78 Sports TV. Support his show. Welcome to HDII TV. Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez. A lot of good shows out here. And definitely Carcino for life. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the page. My Patreon. Appreciate y'all. We out.